What have we got next? Here we go. Devon. Blair in Devon. Sorry, Blair. Blair in Devon. Have you ever had any of your tracks placed on films? Yes, we had a song on, the Silver Ginger 5 had a song on a movie called Spun, which is by a director, a lovely fella called Jonas Åkerlund, who's done a lot of pop videos, but Spun was his first movie. And he had this scene which was going to feature Kiss, you know, and we were friends. Connie Bloom was especially a friend of his because he's Swedish. They're both Swedish. We had a song called Walk Like a Motherfucker. Well, it was never going to be in this film. It was a multi-budget thing and all the rest of it. Anyway, he was having problems with Kiss, which is a bit weird because I think everyone has problems with Kiss. I've had a few, and if you ever ask me a question about it, I'll tell you. But, I'm dreading that one coming in. But Kiss was stalling, probably asking for too much money. And he was saying, well, I've got to pick a song. And he went, look, I'm desperate, guys. Can you give me that Walk Like a Motherfucker song and I'll chuck it in this scene? And I just figured it was going to be in the background. But in this scene, this guy has tied his girlfriend to a bed. Something's happened and he's answered the phone and he's got to run out. And she's still tied to the bed. I mean, he's tweaking like a motherfucker anyway. And she's still tied to the bed. He goes, don't worry, I'll put your favourite song on. And he puts a record on and it's Us. And this scene is this song skipping. So this poor girl's on this bed, naked, probably coming down off crazy amphetamine sessions, listening to Silver Ginger 5, Walk Like a Mother, which is like, just walk like a motherfucker, motherfucker. I couldn't have designed a better place for a song of mine to go. I'm sure there's been loads of songs in loads of films. I don't know. I know we did a cover version of Substitute for an Italian film or a TV production or something like that. But that's the one that springs to mind is Spun. Check it out. Mickey Rourke, Brittany Murphy, one of her last roles. She's amazing in it. It's a fantastic film. And it's got the most edits of any film apparently in history. And you can imagine it's supposed to look like people are on speed. And it does. It's a fantastic, fantastic film. Put my glasses on and off today because I don't like wearing them, but I can't read without them. What's your favourite food and favourite drink? A lot of my favourite drinks have changed over the years. My favourite drink used to be whiskey, but whiskey just doesn't like me anymore. And every time I drink it, if I don't get into trouble, I fucking just feel like I'm going to get into trouble. It brings something out of me. So I'll have a whiskey. I'll have a beautiful whiskey. If I see like something from the Isle of Islay, I've never tried it. I'll have a single shot of that. But and maybe I'll have a whiskey before I go on stage just to get myself in the mood. But no, it's probably best for everyone that I don't drink whiskey. But I love wine. I love a glass of wine and a steak. That's my favourite food and drink combo, is a glass of wine and a steak. I absolutely love it. And apart from that, Japanese food is probably my favourite food. When you're in Japan, Japanese food, when you're not in Japan, is not so good. But in Japan, where it's just called food, there's so much variety. There's so much. I love these things called bento boxes. And you get on the bus, on the train, from Osaka to Tokyo on the bullet train. And you get these bento boxes. And it's about 20 different little things, all about 2 mouthfuls big. That's me. That's me happy. I also love going to those places that have these conveyor belts and just, a bit like Wagamamas, but with really good food. And they have these things on them and it's just everything. And I find at that point, I cannot stop eating. And that, I must admit, sushi and beer is a real good thing. And sushi and sake is a really good combo as well. I like also, because I'm not drinking as much as I used to, which is good for everyone in the world, especially including me. Root beer. I'm absolutely addicted to root beer. I always kind of liked it, but I've got no idea why it's really got to me this time. I don't like the taste of soft drinks. When people try and cut down the alcohol, they've usually got a favourite go-to, orange juice or Pepsi Cola. I don't like any of them, but I do like root beer, so I'm addicted to root beer. So that's my answer to that. Not really all that impressive. I'm on a keto diet at the moment as well, so I'm pretty much eating fish and greens with the odd red meat. But that's a good diet. If you're on a diet, if you need to lose weight really quick and really effectively, do hardcore keto. I've tried every diet in the whole wide world. And keto, if you do it properly and you get below 30 grams of carbs every day, that weight will fall off you. You'll be changing belt loops and you'll be changing clothes to the tighter ones that you were going to throw away. I've lost so much weight on keto, I can't recommend it enough. Slip that in the food and drink. Sean Seymour says, how well do you know the guys in Guns N' Roses, and do you know if they're fans of the Wildhearts? Yes, I know a few of Guns N' Roses. I met Guns N' Roses and chatted with them, but I can't say I know them. But I got to know Slash very well because we toured with Slash, with the Ginger Wildheart band, and that was cool. Slash is very, very down to earth. The sort of guy that will stop you in a corridor and talk about anything. He'd stop me and say, oh, what's that T-shirt? Or what time's sound check? And I'm like, he knows what time's sound check. He just wants to open up conversation. I love that. He doesn't need to do that. He's Slash. Very, very amenable, salt of the earth kind of guy. I know Richard Fortis quite well. He's a friend of mine. I know Duff. If I see Duff, we'll say hello to each other. But yeah, and Matt saw him. I used to know when I hung out in Los Angeles. And what do you call him? The drummer. I used to hang out with a bit. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I know Guns N' Roses. They won't call me up and ask me if I want a guest list. But they probably would give me guest list if I called them up. But they're nice. They're nice guys. Are they fans of the Wildhearts? I really don't know. I do know that Slash asked for a copy of Earth vs. the Wildhearts when it very first came out. Whether or not he liked it or not, I never found out. But I think they all know that I'm a writer. The few conversations I've had with Duff, he always, threatens that we're going to get in a room together and write. So he knows I'm a writer. I think he liked that song, How I Survived the Punk Wars. I think he quite liked that song. But do I know they're fans of the Wildhearts? Probably not. But they'd probably like us if they heard us. I hope they're going to listen to us, so I want to support them. Okay. What are your top 5 Sparks albums? Asks John. All right. Take my glasses off because it's going to take a while. Sparks are one of those bands where it's impossible to pick favourite albums because they all represent different things. And any Sparks fan worth the salt has followed Sparks for a long time. But for me, Sparks had a purple patch or a golden era between 73 and about 81, where they did Kimono My House, which is obviously an amazing album. Did really well. Indiscreet did really well. And Number One Song in Heaven did really well. I like all of those albums. I don't like Number One Song in Heaven that much. I didn't like what they were doing with George Moroder. I applaud them for it, but it's not an album that I go back to. Indiscreet, I played crazy amount. But I have to say, I like the first 2 albums, Sparks and A Woofer in Tweeter's Clothing, especially A Woofer in Tweeter's Clothing. I fucking adore that album. It's just the right side of weird for me, whilst, keeping in little tropes by the Kinks, or a few little Beatles bits, or, things like that. It's a very English sensibility with a very Zappa-esque approach. So I love Woofer and Tweeter's Clothing. And then after Number One Song in Heaven, they went power pop. And they did 2 albums I think are spotless. Womp That Sucker and I Married a Martian. Oh, Angst in My Pants, sorry. I Married a Martian is one of the songs on Want That Sucker. Want That Sucker and Angst in My Pants are like brother and sister album. They just feel like the same core. Well, it's pretty much the same band, actually, the same backing band. But those songs are just full of nuggets. Absolute pearls, amazing lyrics, amazing melodies, just chock-a-block. Then after that, they did an album called Introducing Sparks that seemingly everybody hates. Again, I love that album. So many nods to the Beach Boys, to the Kinks, to, big Baroque pop that no one was really doing apart from Sparks. So I would say my top 5 albums in no particular order are Woofer and Tweeter's Clothing, Angst in My Pants, Womp That Sucker, Introducing Sparks, and probably Kimono My House, because you can't go wrong. And I love Indiscreet as well, but I love them other ones better. I know they've been coming out with a lot of albums. They've got almost as many albums out as I have, but they've coming out with a lot of albums, and a lot of the recent ones are great. But I like Sparks. See, I'm a music fan. I like music. I like to like music, and I like to like bands, and I love Sparks. But they've done loads of albums that I don't really like, and that's part of the attraction to me for a band I'm going to follow long term. Is they're not catering for me. I'm following them. I'm following their story. So when Sparks make an album I don't really like, I love them for it. I'm like, oh really? This is where you're going? And I find it fascinating. I know there's a few Wildheart fans that seem to enjoy hating the band, but I kind of get it, because you're still there. I've still got you. As long as I've still got you, I don't care if you think I'm a cunt. I don't care if you prefer that lineup. As long as you're still there and I still got you, then it's fair game. What's the best place you've ever been on holiday or on tour? I fucking never go on holiday. I never ever go on holiday. I can't remember the last holiday I had, actually. Just one of those things where I never ever go on holiday. Don't know why. Well, I do know why. I've got a dog. It's impossible to find holidays. So instead I go to Scotland. And my favourite drive on holidays is I get in the back of our van. I've got a bed no, I get in the front of the van. She gets in the back of the van because she can't drive. And I couldn't lie in the back of a van while the dog's trying to drive anyway. But we just fuck off to Scotland, and we go round the coast, and we start the kind of Edinburgh side and finish up the, Isle of Skye and all that. But we just do the coast. Fuck me, man. I mean, people go on holiday all over the world and they forget that it doesn't get prettier than Scotland. It's one of the most beautiful places, as beautiful as anywhere that I've been. And you're allowed to go wild camping there, which means that you can park up and you're not going to get a fine when you wake up in the morning. You're not going to get turfed out your tent by the fucking police. And they also give you indicators on the best routes to take, the best scenic routes. And you fall into this beautiful Scottish way that, it's about a 2-week journey around the coast of Scotland. And you fall into this lovely thing. You can go for days without seeing a person. And it really is an amazing experience. Yeah, and you get into this false sense of wonder and security when you're in Scotland, that as soon as you get back into England, all the bullshit starts again. People start being pissed off and, fines for everything. And you can't park here and you can't do this. So that's why I recommend Scotland. It'll get you out of your head. Get you out of your distractions and things that are winding you up and stuff, and it'll just clear you and you'll get back to nature. If you like that sort of thing. If you don't like nature, probably bore you senseless. But if you don't like nature, you're weird. So Scotland. I would say Japan as well, because Japan is just one of my favourite places. That everything, the culture, the movies, the food, the history, everything, and the people now, and the attitude. People seem to be really happy to do a job. So you don't get jobs worth. You don't get people to, here's your change. People are nice, The taxi drivers, they wear gloves because they pride themselves on enjoying the job. I mean, this is Japanese for you. After the tsunami came, and I went over there to do a few gigs and stuff just after the tsunami, and I'd seen the devastation, and there were, huge factories that had just been wiped away, and the huge, iron columns, steel girders that were keeping this thing. They've just been bent like pipe cleaners. Absolutely insane. But people would wake up in the morning and they would put their uniform on and go to the building that they worked that didn't even exist anymore, and they'd help lift the rubble. And it's that kind of spirit that gets me when I go to Japan. I've seen so many people go to Japan, staunch, hardened road warriors, and they're crying when they leave. It's a very common experience to be crying when you leave because the emotional effect has been pretty hardcore, and you don't realise until you get back in an aeroplane and people are complaining about stuff going back to... You know, I love being English. I love Britain, but fucking hell, we're a moaning bunch of bastards. So yeah, I love Japan for that. I love being in an airport, and even the security are nice. They're respectful. Japan for me. Okay, over the years, this is from Charlie from Rugby. Over the years, I've heard a lot of artists complain about the sound of past records they've made. How much control do you have in your material before it gets released? Oh, there's a question before. I'm going to answer this one first because it's about Japan, it's about Japanese movies. I'll get back to you in a second, Charlie. This is from Spike Direction, who says, what's your favourite Takashi Miike movie that's not Audition or Ichi the Killer? Well, I love Takashi Miike. He's got so many movies. He's like me, or Sparks, or Guided by Voices of the movie world. If you got into him late, it's probably impossible to catch up. He's got billions of films. But I love samurai films. I love the whole samurai thing. And I love, you know, you go to Japan and it's all the temples and the history. I'm just absolutely in love with it. To the point where when I was little, I used to eat with chopsticks and no one could figure out why. And then I had someone tell me, the guy who invented Street Fighter invited me to go to Japan to stay with his thing, and he wanted to meet me because he was convinced we were samurai warriors, or friends who were samurai warriors. And every time I used to go to the old temples, I'd seem to know my way around, this weird thing. But you know, cutting a long story short, I love samurai films. So Takashi Miike's samurai films, I would say, are my favourite. Harakiri, The Death of a Samurai, fucking brutal. Just brutal. A guy tries to kill himself with a wooden sword, tries to commit harakiri with a wooden sword. It's full throttle, and its attention to detail is brilliant. And I also love Blade of the Immortal because it's got tons of gore, and I love Takashi Miike because he's not afraid to lay on the gore.